Captain Logos here, preacher at large, teaching the word, inspiring, 5 minutes at a time. Hey, I'm running across Genesis in my daily devotional, and a few things stuck out at me that I want to bring to your attention. In Genesis 16, there's Sarah, right? Apparently, she doesn't trust the Lord because she was told that by this time next year she's going to have a child. But she doesn't wait on God. She tries to enact her own way. She gives Hagar to Abraham, has her go into her, right? And he has a child with her, Ishmael. And then Sarah gets mad at Hagar, sends the child off, but God tells the child through the angel and, and, and Hagar to go back to Sarah. But then a little while later, the promise that was given to Sarah finally comes to fruition. And she's pregnant. She gives birth to Isaac. And then she really gets mad at Hagar. And they send Hagar away with Ishmael. Because heaven forbid Ishmael be involved, right? But God allowed it this time, but told Hagar not to worry. He would take care of them, and that Ishmael would become a great nation also. And then down there in verse 20, chapter 22, God tests Abraham. And a lot of these things don't make sense. Why would God send a child away and allow it to happen? Why would God test Abraham in this way? And so all these things come out. But here's the reality of it: that in the Bible in chapter 22 it says that Abraham sacrificed his only son. And I'm like, wait a minute. It's not his only son, he has two. But at the time, he only had one because Ishmael was sent away. And Ishmael had to be sent away. And here's the reason why. Because if Ishmael hadn't been sent away, maybe Abraham wouldn't have felt compelled, right? Because he could have said, it would have been a whole lot easier to pass the test, right? When you have two sons. Oh, if I sacrifice this one, then I still have another one for the promise. But by Ishmael being gone, it truly tested Abraham because he was literally giving up what God had promised him and giving up everything. With Ishmael being there, he wouldn't have been giving up everything. So he had to be tested to the max. That's why Ishmael had to leave. Here's another reason. Ishmael was God's attempt, or man's attempt, at fulfilling God's promise. Ishmael represents man's way. And we always know when we do it man's way, we tend to screw things up. We mess them up. Big time. The same goes here. Think about this for a minute. Ishmael representing man's way, so he had to leave because it has to be God's way or no way. He also had to leave because Abraham needed the promise to come through Isaac as God promised. But Ishmael, because man screwed up and tried to do it their way, is becoming a great nation. And he represents man's way. Right? Do you realize who the descendants of Ishmael are? Well, they're the Arab nations surrounding Jerusalem, currently surrounding Israel. That want Israel dead, by the way. And it says in the Bible that Ishmael was a wild man and he would be at his, they'd be fighting with his brothers. So here we are, several thousand years later. The battle is still going on today because of a woman who wanted to try to do it her way, Sarah. So we have to really be careful when we try to do it our way because it will mess things up for a long time. A long time. Lasting problems. This is several thousand years now that this battle is raging, all because someone didn't believe God and tried to intervene and help God out. So if God has spoken to you about promises, don't try to fulfill those promises in your own way. Let God have his way in your life and follow God's way. Otherwise, there'll be lasting consequences. Now, get your face in the Bible.